Okay. So just repeat what you're studying and which year you're in.
Yeah, so currently I'm a second year maths student and I've decided to drop out of Oxford.
Wow, that's very impressive. And why are you dropping out?
I think AI is relatively like a pivotal moment in history, and I'd really like to take this opportunity to do my startup. And I think my time is better spent doing that than my degree. The users that are using it are sort of obsessive. Most of them pay us like £1,000 a month because of like how much value it's bringing them. There are a lot of moments where it's just really lonely. Like you're working all day, you don't have any time to see your friends. Everyone's having so much fun.
Okay, so I'm very interested with your experience before Oxford. So how did you get into Oxford?
Yeah, I guess so. I grew up generally in London, and from there, my sort of sixth form was called King's Maths School. So it's like hyper specialized at getting kids really good at maths. And I then sort of applied to Lincoln College and chose to study maths there. I did really well in the entrance exams. I think, yeah, on one of them I got 100%. And then the interviews did pretty well in, so I got admitted here. And yeah, pursued my degree.
And I think you're the first ranked in your college, right?
In yeah, so
Yeah,
the first examinations we sat, I currently ranked first out of all the Lincoln students.
So entering Oxford, is it like a surprise for you?
It wasn't a surprise, but growing up, it was definitely like the goal. It was the like I guess family are poor immigrant parents who came here with like a dream, like okay, my children should probably go to Oxford, and they set a very clear expectation, like okay, we immigrated here and gave up whatever the previous lives are, and yeah, so the goal was always to get into Oxford. I worked pretty hard. It was like expected to get in, like I should have got in, like put in the work for it. Yeah.
Okay, so I heard from last time that you decided to drop out of Oxford to start your startup, and that's very surprised to me because you're giving up all what you have, like you've been spending efforts on, like the top grades, and also you also mentioned that you're having scholarship in Oxford.
Yeah, so I guess currently we'll talk about the perks of me being here at Oxford. Like one of the great things there is I do get quite a large amount of scholarship. So it's the first time in my life I've been given, like supposedly thousands of pounds to for my living expenses and so forth.
Wow.
And well, that's actually enabled me to begin sort of the startup initially, like because I just didn't have any money, and it allowed like the board to initially get rolling and then revenue to sort of grow from that. And now I've decided, coming to the end of my second year, that I'm choosing to drop out. I'd like to sort of pursue my startup full time. I think this is a rather unique moment in history, and I definitely want to take full advantage of it.
So how many percentage that you think you will be success in your startup?
I think they say, most 98% of supposed
Yeah.
startups fail. So the probability I still think is quite low. Like just the chances are theoretically against me, but I can't imagine not going for it. Even though the chances are really low, like if I don't go for it, then constantly over these next few years, I'm like, I wish I went for it. I wish I just spent full time going for it. And so yeah, even if I fail, I think I'm most likely probably going to, like the probability says that I obviously think I'm going to succeed, but in probability, I probably will fail, yeah. But I think it's like still more useful. Like I think it's perfectly okay to fail. Like the skills I'll still learn to do that, it's so much more valuable. Like I become such a more valuable sort of member of the working society if I have all these skills from my startup, even if I fail, because you learn so much, than I would have done pursuing my degree further.
Yeah. And what makes you want to start your startup like immediately right now, like by dropping out of Oxford? Because I have other friends studying math and they are just following the traditional path, going applying for quantitative roles like in finance, earning a high wage as soon as you graduate. Yeah, and what makes you like have this mental like stage of going into startup?
Yeah, I guess so similarly, like all my friends right now are doing quant internships and stuff, and that's sort of the path they'd like to
Yeah.
pursue. I think I do really know that I want to build something of my own. I feel like that's so much more fulfilling a career to me than doing this. So given the fact that I know that, I'm also getting to a point where I think I've done enough work where anyone who's sort of who knows how to judge a person's ability can tell, okay, this decision roughly makes sense. Like enough work has been done here where this should be prioritized. It is a gamble. It's a pretty big gamble because many people will be like, oh, you just don't have a degree or whatever. But I'm sort of I'm assuming if I finish my degree, it just slows me down a year. I don't think I'm not going to apply for a job. I'm not that interested in working in quants or whatever. So Not right now at least. And I just, so either I do my startup in a year or I do it now. And AI is going to change a lot within this next year. And it's kind
Yeah.
of like a little bit of, I'd rather be actively working towards it whilst it's changing than like having to catch up a year later.
Mm. And when did you start to having like this kind of idea that you want to build something by yourself, like to have a startup? And what action did you do like in the
Yeah,
past?
so this is actually really interesting. At least in the UK, the
Yeah.
culture is very
Very,
against
yeah,
startup.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think it's really saddening, honestly. The fact that we're currently in Oxford, some of the smartest people in the world are here, and their best ambition is to go work at Jane Street or sort of
Yeah.
like a finance. I'm like, wow, this is the best sort of ambition you guys can come up with. Like you've worked so hard to get here. You're clearly so incredible. You want to get a job and like working at some quant thing for the rest of your lives. I guess always I've generally just been the thought of building something of your own, which is like far more meaningful, has been far more appealing.
Yeah.
I think I really started to focus into startup ever since sort of the AI boom. And the AI boom, what it's done is like it's a really good time to build. So it's like about for the past sort of 5 years, I've directed most of my sort of background work to be building up my skills in the startup world.
So did you start doing building anything in your like before undergrad?
Oh yeah. I've built so much. There's like I guess almost anyone who's sort of pursuing this, like building projects is like the cool thing. I think I started off in game development. I built
Ooh.
and published a few games. I remember the Unity, the VR headset. Like I was waiting for the Apple VR headset to come out. And I was like, oh, this could be really good. And if I can build a good game for the Apple VR headset and it gets really big, I can probably make like a lot of money. It ends up being that the Apple headset was really bad and nobody really used it that much. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, that was a wasted amount of effort. And then I moved on to consumer apps. So, like iPhone apps basically.
Yeah.
And that was my first sort of encounter with money. So my first app was a religious app for Muslims basically. And
Ah.
that generated, I think I made around like 14,000 within like the first 2 months.
Ooh.
And but the margins were good and it was really competitive. And I was like, the reason I moved off of that was like, okay, anybody in today's day and age with AI can build this quite easily.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend the next 5 years constantly competing. Okay.
Okay, so can you briefly tell me your like growing background?
Yeah. So I was born in London, and then at about year five, my family moved to Pakistan, where I guess I was living alone with my dad actually. And I spent the following sort of 5 or 6 years growing up in Pakistan, and we had like a farm with like many cows and horses and stuff, and it was a very different life from the one I'm living right now. It was interesting because actually it was the first time where Pakistan's obviously society is a lot poorer than the UK, but the students work a lot harder. I remember going to school in Pakistan, and the students would work a lot harder than the British students. And this is up to GCSEs. I mean, admittedly, the education process is a lot of memorization, and that doesn't help long term. But at least to GCSEs, memorization is basically most of it.
Yeah.
And it was so surprising to me, like, wow, these people in UK who are so much more privileged are not working nearly as hard or anything as the students in Pakistan. I was like, yeah, that was surprising. I remember when coming back and I was like, this is so easy in comparison to my time here in Pakistan.
Ah.
Sadly, memorization is the wrong skills. They don't help once you get into A levels and university. Like memorizing can only really get you so far, and they haven't figured out how to do that. But they do work hard, and presume similarly, like in China, like those students work
Yeah, I
so
think
much harder
similar.
than yeah.
But it still gives us like a strong background, I think.
Yeah, I think one that and two just being growing up quite poor has put in like a relatively strong like work ethic that you've been given this relatively fortunate opportunity of being born here, which is like a pretty good lottery. Like you should work hard to make the most. Yeah, I know.
Okay. So let's move on to your startup idea then. So what is your startup
Yeah,
about?
so my startup, what name do I say here? Let's call it the name I'm changing into. So it's going to be called Demon AI.
DMAI.
Yeah, like demon.
Demon. Yeah.
It's just interesting, I suppose. Basically, it's AI agents for currently small businesses and businesses in general. What has happened in these past few months is AI agents have gotten good enough where they can start managing a huge amount of your business workload. And it's like, for example, creating and managing ads, managing your site, dealing with customers. This is all like mess that AI can handle now. And we basically provide the platform, which is like the centralizing hub, where you have one agent which can just manage all of this.
And you mentioned that you want to build something that not everyone can build. And what's the technical barrier that other peoples can reach?
So When OpenClaw hit, many of you will know this sort of agentic structure. This is going to get a bit technical here. It was a lot of the common ideas around building around OpenClaw was to sort of sandbox. What that means is the main architectural bet we've made is what happens when you give these agents their own fully isolated container. What that means is they have a full computer to themselves. So currently, like you might put OpenClaw on your computer, right?
Yeah.
But then it doesn't have access to everything because you have to give it permissions and stuff. Like imagine it had its own computer where it can has full access to its own files, its own everything, its own browser, its own ability to like browse something, and setting all of that up, and then like it ends up being, it was the right bet. Now it's about 3 or 4 months of setting up, but it's like that makes a much more powerful agent than what a lot of other companies are doing right now. So a lot of other companies are sort of temporarily emulate an OpenClaw environment, so it can go in and act. But then after a while, it shuts down. And ours is like you permanently 24/7 get like an isolated little your own machine, which your own agent can like run and control constantly. So it runs like 24/7.
Is it even when you shut your laptop?
Yeah,
it
yeah.
still goes on.
It's running on the cloud. Yeah. So our product's almost finished. Like it's close to being polished. We currently do have users. Like it's around 10,000 a month or something.
10,000 a month.
Around that, I'd say like maybe 8,000 a month or something. But we haven't really done any distribution efforts. This is sort of the beginning of the distribution efforts where now we built the product, let's get it out as fast as we can and grow it really fast, hopefully. But the users that are using it are sort of obsessive. Most of them pay us like £1,000 a month because of like how much value it's bringing them. And they like use it obsessively, almost like every day they spend like 3 or 4 hours on it. I'm like, wow, how many products do I know which I spend 3 or 4 hours a day on? So that's like a good sign. These are like relatively good signs that it will work out.
And all your target customers are all like small size firms, right?
Yeah, it seems to be the case that the most value that we can provide. I think there's bigger firms as well, teams and stuff. I think can use it as well. But the most value will be sort of these teams of, I'd say, from 1 to 10 people, because you can add all your members into thing. Because then it like the business is small enough where a huge amount of that the AI can manage all by itself, and there you can get like it really helps accelerate really fast because so much of the work can be done by AI.
And what kind of did you use open?
Able to use it.
Another interesting question, I think. How did you guys decide your business model? Because none of you have a finance background or business background, and I saw on your website it's $99 per month, like the cheapest price. So it's quite expensive comparing to other like similar platforms in China. And also, when you started building this, there are other competitors, right? So what makes you like different compared to those competitors?
Yeah, so that's a good question. On the price front, I think the value is at a point where it's significant enough. If you're not willing to pay $100 for it, then you're not providing enough value. Like if the consumer does not feel that they get $100 worth of value, then yeah, they shouldn't be really using us. We give like a little bit of a free trial, I think. Just to test it out for like a teeny bit, but pretty quickly. And actually, what ends up happening was we're really surprised. Almost everybody upgrades really quickly. So they have the 100 thing, they burn through the credits in like 5 or 6 days, and then they pay us a lot more to have like a lot more token usage. Also, we are quite cheap because the core models, thanks to China's honestly open source efforts with the models have become like 50 times cheaper than when we started. With DeepSeek's release and Quen's release. So the users for now, the $100 can get 50 times more usage and stuff. So it's really worth it from them. And then they don't have to set up any of this because setting this up all yourself is like kind of complicated. On the competitors front, I think we made some good bets at the start, which is letting us to be quite far ahead. One, this in a server idea. So a lot of places didn't make that bet earlier. The second front is, I guess we worked quite hard on the product currently. There will be some competitors, but honestly, I feel like our experience should be good enough where. So here's how generally I think one should also think about competitors. The market is so big here, such that AI for small businesses, it's actually okay if even if there are 10 competitors or whatever. Like it's not, we don't really care that much about competitors because like one, the market's so big, and we're looking at consumers. Our consumers are really happy, so we're just going to carry on growing in sort of this direction. We don't really care about who else is trying to do this as well.
Start the idea of dropping out of Oxford?
No, that one actually took a lot of convincing. I mean, you have to understand, like my parents are very sort of against the idea because like from them, this was it, right? This is the goal. You get into Oxford, that means good life or whatever they think. And it was, it was a hard amount of convincing, I guess.
But yourself is like you're convinced by yourself. like 100%, or
Yeah. I realize it's the same way. Like, if I want to hire somebody right now,
yeah,
and if you've done an Oxford maths degree, okay, that's a signal that you're competent, but that's just not enough. I won't hire you on the sole fact. I like to say, okay, what have you done? What else have you done other than this?
yeah,
And the sad thing is, because the degree is so intensive, nobody else has done anything else.
yeah,
And I'm like, I wouldn't hire you. So why would someone hire me if I did my degree sort of continuously, like for any job? Um, yeah, I think the quants are okay because it's really still a bit technical. But even in the quant space, like getting better at AI agents in quant space will be better. But sure, the quants like they have like a structure. But anybody else, you're in a really bad position if all you have is your degree and you're applying. I mean, we can see the job market so bad right now. Everyone's applying with just degrees. Like you need to
yeah,
be doing other stuff. And I guess yeah, at a point I'm like, I know I'm good enough at the startup. Anyone smart will understand that this is like makes sense and I should be pursuing this.
yeah.
I'm like, I just don't need to prove myself. Like the signal's strong enough, so I can drop out.
And how did you convince your parents?
That was hard. That was hard. I'm not sure how convinced they are even right now.
Mm.
I think I had to convey them like at a point they've just got to trust me. Like I've managed to get myself this far so far. I probably know what I'm doing.
And also, your brother is into this too.
Yeah, and it helps the fact that my brother is
You have to spend a lot of time working on this project. At the same time, you have to work on the really intense Oxford, like assignments,
oh yeah,
works, and what gives you the like the encouragement and enthusiastic
you know,
into working on this?
it's actually been really hard. I'll be honest this year. Like there were a lot of moments where it's just really lonely. Like you're working all day, you don't have any time to see your friends. Everyone's having so much fun,
Yeah,
and then you work, and then you wake up, and then it's just back to work. And to do that for months on end is like it gets pretty demoralizing. I guess one for the first time in my life with startups, I can work all night, and I don't feel it sort of as a burden or a drain. When I do maths, it's kind of hard. I can't do more than 6 hours of maths in a day. I just can't study more than that. Like feasibly, like I won't get anything else in my brain. So
yeah,
that's also the first time like I can work all day and I feel perfectly fine. Like I really enjoy what I'm working on here. It's like really fun. That helped. And there's just a little bit of delusion, like a large amount of just believing
wow,
that like if other people are doing this, why can't I? And like let's just go for it. And it's
yeah,
seemingly working out okay. Sort of figure it out probably.
yeah. And what would you say is your top three worst moments from building the startup,
Top three worst months. Let me think.
and also best moments?
Yeah. The worst moments are it's been quite lonely, I'd say, over this year. Like you really don't have much time to do other things like socializing and getting to know
Mm,
people. So I had to tell myself because when I came in first year, I was like, oh, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to socialize a little bit and I'll work on my project and I'll do my degree. Yeah, you're not going to work on your project because your degree takes up your time and the rest of the time you spend socializing. You have to really go all in a way.
yeah,
You have to just be like, I have to
you
cut
can only
out
get
all.
two, not
Yeah,
three.
yeah. Like I had to cut out all socializing this year, and it's really hard to do. And I feel like because then basically you ostracize yourself in front, not ostracize, but you have to tell them like I'm not hanging out. Like you have to say like reject people quite a lot initially because they're like, oh, come hang out and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
just constant having to have the I'm not going to do this. I'd rather focus on that. That's really hard. Um, and second, I mean, you obviously believe in myself a lot, and thankfully I'm working with my brother, and we support each other, right? But nobody believes in you here. Like now, maybe they're starting to believe a bit more with like revenue and stuff. But when you start out, people don't really believe you. They're like, okay, you're gonna try and stuff. The culture is so bad. It's so much more like you're probably going to fail. It's such a more put down culture than the Americans are like. Americans believe in you. Like if you tell them like, oh yeah, absolutely, you're probably gonna go do it. Hey, people, that's hard. So you have to really like to have the amount of self belief in yourself to really commit and fully, where you're almost certainly going to fail.
Mhm.
It's all quite hard. That's been quite hard. What's the best moments?
Is it when you start to get profit?
Yeah, making money is quite cool. Oh, you guys think social media addiction is bad? Oh, you have no idea. Stripe and like the revenue addiction. Every morning I was like refresh. Like I haven't made my money, haven't made my money.
Ah,
It's so much worse than like any social media addiction. But it was at least at the start. I was like, oh wow, I built something which people are willing to pay. I think the first idea which made money was there's this IRS tax form called Form 5472, whatever. It's for foreign companies who have some ownership in the US. They have to file. So, anyways, I made a platform where it was really easy to do that. And people started paying me, like 3 people, but they paid me like £50 or whatever. And I was like, oh wow, people are paying me for something I made. This is so cool. And then that's quite cool, I'd say. Yeah.
nice.